Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. We have an incredible panel of organizations, and I am Ann Young. I am with Gallagher, and I am the Million Women Mentor Chair in Michigan. So thank you for joining us. Mentor in the dictionary, mentor is the influence, guidance, or direction. Someone who teaches, gives, helps, advise. So what we're doing today is all about mentoring. It's about empathy. It's about leadership, helping these young girls and women in STEM to pursue careers in STEM. Sheila Boyington is our national state chair for Million Women Mentor. I met Sheila, it's been maybe 5 years now. Sheila's become kind of a mentor to me. She does incredible work, has had incredible success in her career. And I have the honor of introducing Sheila this morning. Sheila.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Ann, and thank you, everybody who's joining us today for this Million Women Mentors episode, I would say, around manufacturing. I think we're in for a real treat today, having these amazing leaders for manufacturing in Michigan, which in the past, and maybe now too, Delaney, has always been synonymous, right? Michigan manufacturing. So about 7 years ago, actually, we took a look at the country and recognized that still we were not having enough women in STEM, computer science, manufacturing, all of these industries. And, there's a lot of talk and conversation around, how could we change that, or did we need to, or whatever. We really didn't have a good sense of what that was. And so Million Mentors was born and really started out as a movement to really impact and get more girls and women into STEM careers. But it wasn't even about getting them into STEM. It's also about staying in STEM, because that is a big piece. Now, I think we know across the country, women, we're now what, 51% of the workforce, yet we're only about 29% of the STEM workforce. I will say, when we started Million Mentors 7 years ago, that number was around 24, 26. Not that we've had the only hand in this pie, but we certainly feel that Million Mentors has been part of what has grown this conversation and made it sort of a priority across the country. And it's much due to leaders like Ann Young and other state leaders across the country, and corporations that have sponsored this movement, from BP to PepsiCo to Tata to Walmart, to so many organizations across the country, Cisco and others who leaned in the very beginning and have continued to support our work. Additionally, we also talk about staying in STEM. When women go into STEM careers in the first 10 years, listen to this, 50% drop out, 50%. So we really have a deficit there. I would say after the pandemic and during the pandemic, women were disproportionately impacted by the pandemic as well. I myself employ some young women, and during the pandemic, their job changed from coming to work every day to being at home, and to homeschooling their kids and making sure their kids weren't cutting their arms off in the kitchen while they were fixing lunch, while the women were trying to be on Zoom. I mean, just a whole host of things. So the impact and the dynamic has changed, but the problem still remains. And, so I think it's really important that these conversations continue. And, those of you that are on today, I just challenge everybody, after you participate in this webinar, don't let it end there. Let it go on. Let something that you hear here impact you and get you to do something you couldn't. The other thing is, this is not just about an equality issue. This is about an economic issue. Women make 77 cents to $1 for most careers. Yet for STEM and computer science careers, it's 92 to 96 cents to $1. Should be $1 a dollar. Let's not have that conversation, but we are about getting more girls and women to consider these careers earlier on, so they're prepared for them, they're ready for them, they pursue and persist in them. Let me tell you a little bit about the Million Mentors movement. So we're really not trying to be a separate program out there for people to just join and do what we do. No, we really are about, getting the troops together, I would call it. So first off, what we've done is we've aggregated. And much of what we're doing today is that same sort of thing. We've aggregated, we've pulled in people who are really concerned about this work and want to help, etc. Then they are already people that are doing things. So we use our opportunity to amplify this message. We have a tremendous following around the country, not just on social media, but just on the work that we're doing and the activities that we have been involved in. The year before the pandemic, never really counted from last year, but last couple of years, but we had over 150 events across the United States where Million Women Mentors was a part of the conversation and at the table to drive impact. Beyond that, we want to advance the work that's already going on. When you hear today from these leaders in Michigan, they're already working and thinking about this, but maybe people didn't really realize it. And so, it's very important that, these conversations happen and others like them. So anytime, you're hearing about work around, getting more girls into STEM, getting more women to stay into STEM and manufacturing and computer science, all these different types of opportunities, I hope you'll share that with us. We have some great chairs in Michigan. Ann Young with Gallagher, and certainly want to recognize Shelley Skinner as well with Genentech, who both have really stepped up to the table to serve as the state chairs for Michigan. We have about 40 states where we have this type of representation, and we try to support and build these efforts throughout the state. So today, much like what we're doing today with getting everyone together. I love the study that showed that AUW did study, and it showed girls and women, we like career paths where we're helping people. But so many times we don't take girls all the way to the finish line to show them being an engineer, being in manufacturing, all the other things that you might do in STEM, actually support what goes on in the world and how we're impacting society. And so, that is the missing link sometimes. And so I think, we're mentoring and role models and other things factor in, is that last little mile there to get kids connecting what they might be interested in and how it applies to a job, and then how it goes all the way to the career path and impacts society. So I hope you all will think about that as you're listening to the conversations today. And I'm certainly available to answer any questions later on. But I thank each of you for getting up early. I don't normally get up this early, I just want to say. It's why my hair is in the back of my head. But I really admire those that are in this space. I'm an engineer by training, actually. Should probably mention that. I'm a chemical, environmental, civil engineer. I've worked in the space for a long time. 25 years ago, started an educational technology company and created the curriculum that you guys use in Michigan for the MME, the Work Keys Assessment, and now do Learning Blade to get middle school students interested in STEM careers, but believe in this to my core, and have 2 daughters and have really wanted to continue to see movement in this space. So thank you, Ann, for your leadership, Shelley as well. And thank you to each of you who are on today. And I think you're in for a treat to hear from these wonderful leaders from Michigan. Turning it back over to you, Ann.
Thanks, Sheila. Well, you can tell that Sheila doesn't have any passion for, mentoring or STEM or it's been an unbelievable ride to, take it with Sheila, because her background is incredible and passion. So thank you. So Gallagher and Michigan Manufacturing Association have been working together for, 4 years, I think now. And we sponsor events. And I think the best thing that's come out of the MMA relationship is Delaney McKinley. So I am going to introduce Kelly Basalia from Gallagher, who is our Senior Director for Events. And Kelly is really the glue between Gallagher and MMA. So Kelly, I would love for you to introduce Delaney and talk about our partnership.
Absolutely. And hello, everybody. Again, I'm Kelly Basalia from Gallagher. I handle all of our associations as well as our events for Gallagher, which is very, very exciting role for me. And in particular, working with MMA and Million Women Mentors, of course, has been really a great opportunity and a wonderful partnership for Gallagher we can't thank Delaney enough in her leadership. It's just so exciting to see and to be able to work with this association so closely. And we are very, very excited to be here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Delaney.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for those kind words. I'd love to start every day out with such kind compliments from you and Ann. And Ann, I'm just going to correct you because you guys have actually been members for more than 16 years. So we've had a long partnership, and in the last couple, I've had the opportunity to work with Ann and Kelly to bring really meaningful content to our members, like, today's discussion. And just a little bit about my organization for those of you who may not yet be members. For 120 years, MMA has served as a unifying champion of an industry that is in constant evolution and growth. Our sole purpose is to advocate for, support, train, and grow the manufacturing industry in Michigan. And we've maintained an unwavering commitment to serve Michigan manufacturers through effective advocacy at the state capitol, meaningful education, and strategic business services. And, I personally have had the pleasure to serve Michigan's manufacturing industry for more than 11 years. And I can tell you that each and every one of those years, our members, regardless of size, industry subsector, or geographic region, have told us that their single largest barrier to growth is talent, or more precisely, the lack thereof. And it is a tremendous problem, more so now than it has in the past. It's nothing new. I was sharing with some of the panelists before we got started today that we were going through some old files and working on another project, and happened to find some headlines from an article all the way back to 1999 saying that manufacturers are starting to get creative to attract talent. So the problem is nothing new, and some of the solutions are not all that new either. We know that mentorship has been around for many, many years, maybe under different titles, but the stakes are huge now, thanks to some of the workforce disruption that was brought to us by the pandemic. And that combined with some pre-existing demographic issues that we're already struggling with as a nation. But I can tell you, Michigan manufacturing is certainly the largest sector of Michigan's economy, and we employ nearly 600,000 people. And I'm pleased to say that number has steadily risen over the last year. But as of today, there are more than 10,000 manufacturing job openings. That represents, a tremendous unaffected opportunity. 10,000 jobs, that's a lot of growth that we're not yet realizing. And on a national scope, just to give you an idea of the context there, we're anticipating that 2.1 million manufacturing jobs will go unfilled by 2030. And that will cost our economy as much as $1 trillion. So to fill that gap, companies are increasingly looking to creative and effective methods like mentorship and encouraging STEM education pathways to grow a pipeline of talent with the skills necessary for advanced manufacturing. And I'm so honored to be included in today's discussion among several MMA members who have for many years been leaders in intentional tactics to help grow the manufacturing talent pipeline. This is nothing new to many of our members. They've been working to enrich the lives of Michiganders and to make our state more competitive in the battle for talent. Sheila and I were having some friendly banter early between Michigan and Tennessee and securing manufacturing investment. But a phrase that we often repeat is that the state that wins the talent development battle wins the economic war for investment. So I'm very grateful to the leaders that are on this panel today for their work to strengthen our state's talent development proficiencies across a wide spectrum of programs. So without further ado, I'd love to get to them and hear more about what they've been up to lately.
Thank you, Delaney. That was fantastic. And I can tell you, Delaney, when I think of Delaney, I think of a firecracker, a doer. Ashley, who is new with Delaney, told Kelly and I what a wonderful mentor she is. And I can only imagine, like, it's mentorship at its best right there is with Delaney. Thank you, Delaney.
Thanks,
and we'll hear from Delaney again. We have Jenny Gino here, who is the Executive Director for Career Technical Education at Saginaw ISD. Jenny is also the 2021 Manufacturer Talent Champion. So sorry about that. 2021 Manufacturing talent champion. So that is a huge honor. Jenny, start by telling us a little bit about that and how you felt getting that award.
Well, good morning. I'm very excited to be here. This is definitely a passion area of mine. Career and technical education is essentially workforce development that starts with secondary students. And so getting students connected into careers and opportunities that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise seen for themselves is something that I've been passionate about for a really long time. When I first came to Saginaw, there was a dire need for secondary pipelines to the manufacturing industry. And so that became my main focus early on. So we ended up cultivating a large talent consortium as an opportunity through the Marshall Plan for Talent initiative under former Governor Snyder, and manufacturing rose to the top in terms of what those needs are. And with those dollars, that enabled us to open 7 prime schools, which essentially are to get students interested and excited about manufacturing beginning as early as the 9th grade in our county. And then we have an advanced program at our countywide career center at the Saginaw Career Complex for students that have, maybe explored in 9th and 10th grade, and this has really turned their heads, that really want a deeper dive where they can really become immersed in things like Industry 4.0, different aspects of engineering and machining and CNC programming and operation, and all of the above, with pathways towards our post-secondary institutions as well. So this took, more than 3 years to build. And the award was truly a surprise. I was literally sitting in a parking lot when I got the call after a really long day. And so it took a while to sink in, but it definitely validated the work. And we're just really excited to be able to bring these opportunities to our students. We have partners that work together to make this happen. We have school districts that work together to make this happen. When people work together, opportunities occur. And when you have random acts and people not working together, that's when we see things like talent gaps and a variety of other inconsistencies. So, all of those things just ignite my passion.
Thanks so much, Jenny. Tell me a little bit about any mentorship programs within your organization. I mean, it sounds like you guys are advancing, women and the youth. So getting, engaging kids in 9th grade or even earlier is really the key to success. And again, like you said, working together is what, breeds success.
Absolutely. We have a very big philosophy that this needs to start in elementary school. Some of the other work in our talent consortium consisted of these pieces, and how do we push these things down to our youngest students? So we kind of been working backwards because we want to start with our high school students because they're going to be the first ones out there, right? And then this year our focus has really been on middle school, but simultaneously pushing out opportunities to our younger kids. So we offer manufacturing. So let's just talk about manufacturing. Manufacturing summer camps to students starting in the 8th grade. We do a lot of different things around FIRST Robotics in our county. One of our local districts has built a robotics center, which is super exciting. And that was in partnership. I think the funds came from Hemlock Semiconductor. So you see how our partners work together to help bring these opportunities to our students. And that's a facility that can be utilized by the surrounding school districts. So being able to foster these kinds of experiences so students can explore careers in a hands-on way. It's all about the experience. It's not about a computer program or talking to them about these kinds of things. They need to see it in action because the words fall flat. When I say the word mechatronics to students, their eyes glaze over. So it's more fun to bring them over and give them activities and immerse them in some of the kinds of things that this particular occupational area encompasses. So we do a variety of those pieces. We have 8th grade career days where 8th graders get to come over to our career center and do a wide variety of occupations hands-on. We do the same thing for 10th graders. We do industry tours. We would take buses to our manufacturing plants on a regular basis pre-pandemic, and now it's as bus drivers are available so that they can tour facilities and talk to professionals. We bring people in all the time because that is paramountly important. Information sessions in our community to make sure that parents are well informed. And we do some really fun, exciting videos, so that short video sound bites, so that it turns parents' head in students' heads. You know, one of the things that are kind of like nails on the chalkboard to me is when people say that that's for, you know, students that aren't going to college, when nothing could be further from the truth. So we talk about early college programs. We have a lot of those opportunities here in Michigan, dual enrollment opportunities, so that students are simultaneously getting certifications and college credit at the same time. So always a lot of mentoring within this space.
Great. Yeah, I mean, mentoring is the single most important way to develop these, you know, kids, you said in the 9th grade is where we have to catch and make sure that, you know, they're engaged and they understand the power of a STEM career. Thank you for that, Jenny. We appreciate it. Elizabeth Williams is our next panelist, and Elizabeth is a principal at Raymond. She is spent her whole career in manufacturing, so we're excited to hear from her about some of the programs that she developed in the past at certain organizations, and how mentoring really leads to what we're trying to cultivate here, which is just a community of engaging our youth and making sure that they understand that we're here to support them and you know, get them fueled and passionate about STEM careers.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, I'm very passionate about manufacturing. Much of my career has been in that space. That's where I started. And I had several years there where I consulted with many businesses. So I was in and out of a lot of different industries, but manufacturing really has a soft spot in my heart, because that's where I started. And now I'm back in a role that I can be consultative with many companies and help them design their talent programs. Today, I'd like to share with you 4 specific programs that I've done throughout my career, and also a 5th one, a new one that's on the horizon that I think is something to speak about for next steps. But first, let me talk about college relations. When I was in the newspaper industry, professional journalism and production environment, we started an internship program. So me being in HR, I was the one coordinating all of the college relations and vetting through all the applications. We did have an application process and requirements. They had to be juniors or seniors in college, and they had to have at least a 3.0. And we accepted, at that time, I think it was up to 12 students, and we had applications from across the country, but primarily we were focusing on Michigan, but we did take a few out of state. And each of those college interns got hands-on experience with a mentor. They were paired up with a professional journalist or photographer and learned hands-on, and they were immersed in this environment. So that was the first program that I ran for a few years. And the next one in the manufacturing space was creating an apprenticeship program, which is just another way to say mentorship, right? Just another way to say it. And in that case, this was on the west side of Michigan in Grand Rapids. And there was a talent shortage for sophisticated technicians. They had to have a blend of manufacturing and electrical hands-on experience, and just the aptitude to be able to problem solve, troubleshoot heavy manufacturing equipment. And what we did is we created an apprenticeship program, brought in people, some were right out of the military who had transferable skills, some right out of school, but they had that aptitude. And the program ran for up to a year, give or take, depending on the apprentice. Some of them were superstars and caught on very fast and acclimated and accelerated through the program. And if there were any that weren't catching on in the beginning, then they knew that it wasn't the right fit for them. But we had so many success stories through that. And I wanted to share with you how we put that together. Finding the talent, of course, was in partnership with human resources to find the talent. But then creating that structure, there really needs to be a structure for any mentorship or apprenticeship program. Casual conversations go a long way when you need to have those developmental touch points. You also need to have a plan of action and a duration of time that you think would be feasible for someone to grasp these skills. So we set milestones over the course of a year, and under each milestone, there were certain skills that these technicians had to learn. And as they learned and mastered each milestone, they got a pay bump. So they were very motivated to get through the program. We had a couple who were superstars who flew through the milestones, motivated and wanting to learn and move up through the program. And then they became full-fledged technicians at the top of the pay for that field. And another benefit to having an apprenticeship or mentorship program is that you have employees who are the mentors. They're getting some benefit out of passing on their knowledge as experienced senior leaders in that field. We also had students from high school bust in, over 500 of them from various schools in the Grand Rapids area, for a full immersion day of a rotation through all the various departments. So they got to be up close with the product specialists who were designing the systems. They got to tour the manufacturing plant and get up close and learn about jobs in manufacturing that aren't necessarily working in on the production floor. It's all of the other areas in the professional jobs that support that, from engineering to sales, customer service. So these kids got to have stations basically in the various departments, talk to those professionals. And we had chosen certain professionals that were really passionate about their work and shared their stories and really wanted to be a part of that. They had a hands-on woodworking experience where they each got to make something on the machines and take it home as a souvenir. Those little things go a long way for students to get them interested and engaged. And then we had a few students who were so excited that they said, when I graduate from high school, I'm coming back here, because that was the path they wanted to choose, was instantly go into the workforce and into a production environment. They saw it up close, kind of got bit by the bug. And there is some success stories there that it does work. And then we had another apprentice program at the production site, which helped the employees on the production floor progress through their skills through what I call upskilling. They were hired for a job, they could do that particular job, but how do you advance? Again, giving some framework to that and showing them how they can reach those milestones. And then those milestones in turn into pay bumps. And the way it was structured there wasn't a promotion in the sense that you have to wait for a job opening to either become available or created. It was, you got these skills, now you're more valuable to us, we're increasing your pay, and now you can pivot between 2 or 3 different jobs. So if someone wasn't able to come in, you can either fall back to that position or step up to another. So it helped the company be more flexible too, if there was any staffing day-to-day issues and so forth. And then the next step after that would be a team lead position and so forth for those who wanted to put the extra advancement in their career. And then lastly, I want to share something for the burgeoning future that we have. I'm a very active member in SHRM, particularly my SHRM, for the HR Association for Human Resources Professionals. And they have just created an HR apprenticeship program. And what I like about this, and I hope that we spread the word, is that the Department of Labor is helping to fund this. So what SHRM is looking for are companies to partner with to apply for these apprenticeships, and the DOL will fund them. it gives those HR professionals 18 to 24 months of experience. That's the length of their they've defined it. Those are one of the parameters. The DOL funds it, and the students getting that hand-on or apprenticeships, because they're working, not just students, getting that hands-on experience for them to further their HR career. So I did a quick little search on the website. It's hrapprenticeships.org. When I went to that website, more apprenticeship links popped up. So it's not just HR. There was electrical engineering and HVAC and all these other apprenticeships out there. So I encourage everyone to take a look at that, because that is what I'm seeing on the forefront.
Wow. Thank you, Elizabeth. I mean, apprenticeship seemed to be the key word there. So in your past, apprenticeship program for my SHRM sounds incredible, because with the DOL supporting it, hopefully we can fill some of those, the 10,000 jobs that Delaney shared with us that are available. I mean, there's so much opportunity here in Michigan. So thank you for all of your, your sharing, and, obviously in every job that you've had, mentorship and STEM has been a big part of it. So I'm just so thrilled to have so many brilliant women here on our panel. Jill Drail is the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Next Year Automotive. She's got an incredible career. And I always say with a STEM career, it is, women are only 50% of the workforce. So it really is important to have women in executive positions that can help mentor and breed new talent coming up with our young women especially. So Jill, I would love for you to share what you guys are doing at Next Year, and thanks so much for joining.
Oh, thank you, Ann. I'm happy to be here today. So as Ann mentioned, my name is Jill Drolly, Vice President and COO of our US operations, part of Next Year, so one of our divisions. So just a little bit about me. I have a mechanical engineering degree. I've actually worked at Next Year for 28, almost 29 years now, which is hard for me to believe. Most of my career has been bounced between engineering and operations back and forth. So I've spent a lot of time in very male-oriented environments. So mentoring and STEM are two very passionate areas for me. I also have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, aging from 25 to 17. So from that perspective, very passionate about education with our children and making sure they understand all the opportunities that they have. So a couple things that I thought I would talk about today is, first of all, from a mentorship, and as you mentioned, Ann, just being in this role, I recognize that I have a unique opportunity for people, and really, and specifically for females, because I think sometimes females think that it's not possible to have a career, a successful career and be a mom. And, I am evidence that that is possible. It is very difficult at times, but it's definitely possible. And I think that's really important. And it's, the recognition that I am sort of an informal mentor to many people is important to me. So as part of that, I try to be very visible in our organization, doing things like this and other things, so that our women can see that there is opportunity to be successful and have a career. I try to be accessible. So, I offer my time to anyone who asks for it, really, in terms of, whether it's just an informal mentorship, just a question, or just spending some time with them to have them go through some ideas. And then also try to be very involved. So a couple of ways that I have done that in this organization, 2 that I'll speak about today is we started, it's been about 7 years ago, we started our Next Year Women's Club. And I'm proud to say that I was a founding member and am still the executive sponsor for that organization. And, we've really geared that towards the women in our organization, although we are a very open and inclusive group. So we do allow anyone to join our events. But specifically, we started the organization to target our female employees and provide networking opportunities for them, provide forums for them to get to know each other, to get to know the organization. And, I think that's been really impactful. And I'm proud to say that it's still going 7 years later because of some amazing people that we have on our team, some of which are on the call and reaching our younger children, and as Jenny talked about, all the way, as far down as we can go. We let kindergartners come into our plants. And so we have some amazing employees at Next Year who love to be involved. And that was a way that we were able to get our employees engaged to come up with really creative ideas, both in and out of our plants. And I think it was Jenny that mentioned, or maybe Julie, but having kids just be able to build things and then take them home and how impactful that is. And we have just been able to get some really good feedback from those kids with thank you notes and just real excitement about manufacturing. And that's been really fun to do. Of course, COVID, kind of put a stop to that, but we're happy to get that back going again this year. We've also done things like partnering with our schools, and we are one of those manufacturers that will open our doors to tours and allowing kids to come in to see what manufacturing is all about, because I think that's really important.
For sure it is. And I love, Jill, how you use the words visible and accessible, in your role, because without that, people just don't feel comfortable. I think the most successful organizations are all about being accessible and being visible. And, you've got a big title, but does that mean that people can't come and, reach you? So, which I think women really have a knack for, just that welcoming environment. I'm a big believer in empathy. And, when someone feels as though they're being cared for and they feel safe, they'll give you better output. And a lot of times, companies are looking for, you're a number and we're looking for output. But if we put in to our employees and to our people, we get so much more out. So don't look for output. We need to be the leaders, lead with empathy. And it's all about the mentorship and some of the programs you guys are doing there. So I applaud you. And, the Women's Club as well is something phenomenal. It just breeds camaraderie and, belonging. So thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Also thrilled to have Julie Mann on board here. Julie is the CHRO of Neogen. And Julie, I feel like, being a CHRO is being an advisor, of course, being a mentor for sure, a psychologist, a friend, an enemy. There's so many different roles that a CHRO plays. So Julie, how do you go to work every day and, empower yourself to be that mentor and, really care for all of your individuals, because truly at the end of the day, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. And, I agree with Jill. I mean, I think so much of it is just being available and being approachable. It does not matter what title you have. It's really how you bring yourself to work. And so, and I think you have to be, we've all seen those people who go up the organization and detach, right? And that just isn't, something that, especially in the role of HR, that you need to do. But I think as women and as women leaders, we do bring special things to the table. And one of those is that approachability and how we come to work and, being there for all of those topics that you mentioned, right? So it is a full encompassing role. And, from an HR standpoint of view. I mean, we are there. I mean, I wake up every morning and think about, how do I make people succeed? And how do I make people come to work and be excited to be here? And yes, it's work, right? We all would prefer to probably be on a beach in Tahiti, but it is work, and it's a big part of what you do every single day. I mean, we all spend a lot of time doing this thing called work. And so make it enjoyable. And, from Neogen's standpoint of view, I mean, one of the wonderful things, and I'm just going to say 2 minutes about Neogen, because most people don't know who we are. We are based in Lansing, Michigan. We were founded in 1982. We have offices in 14 countries, over 2,000 employees. And so all of that is, that's a big group of employees to keep track of, right? Because you're not just looking at US employees, you're looking at the globe, and you're looking at rest of world. And so managing and being available, developing, mentoring across the globe is a lot different than just doing it, in one state or in one country. So we really focus on how do we do that? A good example is International Women's Day. International Women's Day was just March 8th. And, that's an event that began in 1975. And, I can tell you that across the globe, we celebrated women. We had messages go out. We had, a wonderful presentation in India. We had people on site in Mexico. And, it's just finding different ways to engage and celebrate women in STEM. And from Neogen's standpoint of view, again, when you talk about coming to work and enjoying your work, I mean, we have such a wonderful purpose, on all of our screensavers. It says every day we protect the people and the animals we care about. That's a nice purpose. We all have people and we all have animals that we care about. And what we do know, a lot of times people say, well, what does Neogen do? And I'm like, well, did you eat today? And usually people say yes. And then I say, well, did you get sick today? And usually people say no. And then I said, well, somewhere along the way, I can guarantee that Neogen was involved in that, because we are from farm to fork. And, when we think about mentoring, when we think about STEM, I think, agriculture isn't always at the top of the list when it comes to talking about STEM. And so, I think when I kind of look at this discussion around STEM, it's a little bit different, because STEM education for those grades K through 12 is very important, and agriculture is linked to STEM, but we don't always think about it that way. When we think about agriculture and STEM learning, I mean, it's the science behind the farming. It's the engineering, it's the programming of new technology to increase the efficiency on the farm. It's developing math concepts so that we have new engineering for new technology. And all of those things are very, very important when we think about STEM, when we think about women, when we think about agriculture and STEM. And so from Neogen's perspective, we're continually working to not only elevate from a women's perspective, women in STEM. We do a lot around the globe with the Association for Women in Science, and we celebrate women in science on an annual basis, again, across 14 countries. How do we mentor? How do we grow career paths for people? But more importantly, how do we start getting people to naturally think about agriculture and STEM? Because it's just not a natural thought process. In Randolph, Wisconsin, one of our domestic locations, let's say it was 2 weeks ago, we went to a big high school. It was like 6 area high schools. And we went to a mentoring program to bring people in to understand what we're doing in our Wisconsin facility. The videos that we get to play are animals and cows and pigs and sheep and chickens. And, that is attractive to everyone. And so, but they just don't make that correlation over to STEM and the importances of the engineering and the technology and the science all behind that. And, at the end of the day, we're biosecurity, right? We're protecting all of that. And all of that requires a lot of thinking and a lot of, people behind that. So, I just think that, as we look at Neogen's standpoint of view, we think about mentoring, we think about women in science. It's, how do we really make that connection for people? Because especially as women, we do care. Not that men don't care, we all care. But when you look at and you connect that to agriculture and the ability to care for people and for animals, it so closely embeds with, that development and that partnership. And I think that we can, all kind of do better. That's our mission, right? Is to help make that connection and help people start thinking about ag and STEM together. In the state of Michigan, we all know the importance of agriculture. And we all know the challenges on the farms, especially with the rising prices of fuel and, in product and seed and fertilizer and all of those types of things. So how do we engineer? How do we become more efficient? Because agriculture is a very important piece of our state. And we have to focus on that from an educational and development standpoint of view. And, that work needs to begin in the schools. We need to bring people through that school system and then, open their eyes to STEM careers. And, we work with a local high school here, Sexton High School, go Big Reds, it's my alma mater. But we work with them and we go into the classroom and we take, product and test kits and things like that. And it's just fun to watch the eyes open when they think about what careers that they can have again in agriculture. So anyway, those are just some of the general thoughts when I think about, STEM, when I think about women, when I think about mentoring, it's how do we help get the message and how do we bring people through, through that, their journey in career. Everybody's path looks different. So how do we help educate and at least let people know that this is an available path? And, we work again across the globe to kind of pull that all together.
I love that. I love how you tied, how do you naturally tie agriculture to STEM? And that is tricky. It's tricky because people probably don't put that in manufacturing, but it's all about science. It's all about manufacturing, engineering. It has every single component of STEM. How, like your workforce, what are you, building that momentum with engaging young girls and women, at Neogen?
Yeah, several things. We're, there's a Future Farmers of America is a wonderful association that teaches leadership and all this. So the Wilson Talent Center here in town in Mason, they have an affiliation with the FFA. So we work directly with the Wilson Talent Center. There's a wonderful educational model that's in the Detroit area called Bowers Farms, where again, they educate and they bring kids through curriculum that's geared towards STEM and geared towards agriculture. And so, that's a wonderful model of development that we're looking at. So that again, we can get that exposure to kids. And, I will tell you from a challenge standpoint of view is, Future Farmers of America is a phenomenal organization to link to the school systems. But if the school system, and we've done a lot of work here because we obviously, you can tell, believe it's very important. If a school district does not have a ag teacher, then they can't align with FFA. Yet you've got this wonderful leadership program focused on women as well that can work together with the school districts. So, we're spending time there trying to figure out how do we create those collaborations, because if we can get, even that FFA for all of us, it would really advance kind of that STEM, agriculture, women development, leadership, public speaking, all of those things that's very involved in the FFA. And it's just it's a phenomenal program. So we try to connect kids through Wilson Talent Center. We're trying to identify the school districts. I could tell you which ones have it, which ones don't, but you've got to get that ag teacher, one ag teacher into a school district allows FFA to bring in their programming. And we don't have that unless it's something's happened in the last probably 6 months. We don't have that in Lansing. And
Wow.
So, we have to look at those avenues so that we can make that connection and then continue to try to help people understand that connection between ag and STEM and help them, just kind of realize that so that we all can optimize that group that, can make that connection and want to explore that space.
Absolutely. And I feel like the biggest component is awareness. So how do you build awareness? And the FFA sounds like an incredible program. And Jenny Jenny mentioned that they have several chapters of FFA as well in Saginaw. So Jenny, that it sounds like that's an important component to you as well.
Yeah, so within career and technical education, we have student organizations that are aligned to all occupations. And so for our ag students, it is FFA. And the beauty of that is a lot of times FFA can start even in the middle school area. So we're always looking at expanding those opportunities because, as you just heard, there's so much opportunity. There's leadership opportunities. These students get connected and they're immersed in these kinds of things. But literally, all of our occupational programs have some student organization that does a tremendous amount of mentoring, leadership training, skill building. And this is many times where students get job opportunities or something turns their head because they go on a work-based learning opportunity or participate in an internship that literally changes the way they think about things or changes their whole trajectory of their career. So I can't say enough about these organizations, and FFA is one of my favorites. It's a tremendous organization. And I think there's lots of ways that we can help to bridge that with our students and making those connections to STEM for all of the reasons that you just heard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jenny. Jill, I see you nodding your head very passionately. Anything you want to add just on, this topic?
I mean, first of all, I just think it's really interesting. So thank you, Julie. And just highlights another area of tremendous opportunity for our future kids and leaders, in the world. And I love the idea of partnering with organizations that provide mentorship opportunities to our kids. The more they can see at an early age and really, kind of identify where it is that they want to go, the more it helps them, right? You see so many kids struggling when they're, a junior and senior in high school, and they have no idea what they want to go and do. And part of that is just because we're not reaching all of them, right? Whether it's a manufacturing opportunity or an opportunity in agriculture or any kind of opportunity for that matter. So I just think it's really exciting to hear about that.
Yeah, thank you. And this is what this hour is all about. It's all about awareness. It's all about filling those 10,000 jobs that are open, so much opportunity. And if we can engage our kids, our girls, and just build that awareness and let them know they are capable, right? They can be empowered, and they will excel in these positions. So we can all do it together. I know, Delaney, MMA is, you're kind of the crux. You're the glue that keeps all these manufacturing companies informed and educated, and the whole awareness of filling those jobs and the talent crisis. It's a big part of what you guys are doing day to day. I know you've got some things to share, and even an announcement with a new hire. But one thing about Delaney is she said, I don't need that many minutes. I want to give them to these women because they're the ones that need to be heard. Delaney, you need to be heard too. So, but I truly thank you for that, because that's Delaney. So tell us a little bit about what's happening at MMA and, how you are just supporting all your members.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, we've been, as I mentioned before, working many years on this. And one of the biggest challenges here is there's no single silver bullet. When I was working in the government affairs department as a lobbyist, it'd be really nice. There's a lot of areas where you can identify in the law, if we just remove this section, or if we just add this section, that'll make a tremendous change to everyone's lives. But in this area, there's a lot going on. And we certainly affected quite a bit of legislative change. Recognition within the Michigan merit curriculum for the importance of career and technical education, the fact that there is a need for hands-on experiential learning, as opposed to just sitting at a desk and staring at a blackboard, or now smartboard, for actual classrooms today. We've also mandatory career exploration throughout your middle school and high school experience, making sure that kids have an opportunity to become aware of all of the opportunities that are out for them in their future. We, of course, would love them to look at manufacturing careers, but there's also an incredible diversity there. So just having that awareness that there's so many positions within a manufacturing facility and within the diversity of the manufacturing industry here in Michigan. So we're working on that, but then a lot of the solutions require exactly what Julie was saying before. Jenny said, I want to repeat this. Random acts and lack of collaboration leads to talent gaps. I think that's a really important perspective. And so we've taken that collaborative approach. We've been working together with the SME Foundation, so Society of Manufacturing Engineers, their foundation, they created the SME Prime School. And Jenny made reference to that as well. We partnered with Saginaw Schools to create a tailored curriculum that's based on the demand, the needs of the local manufacturers. So you aggregate local manufacturers, figure out what it is they need in their communities. What is that pipeline look for them? And then integrate that into the local schools, get kids engaged and excited about preparing for those careers, give employers an opportunity to get to know some of this young talent so they have an opportunity for a successful career right out of the gate. And as a mother, I can tell you one of the things that excites me about the manufacturing industry is that so often I have members that will support a student's ongoing education. There was a comment earlier about, not just assuming you're going straight to college to figure out there what you're going to do. There are employers, manufacturing employers, that will pay for your education and training, from the very beginning to the very end of your career. So we encourage students to think about that. I'm really excited to say we just secured a $6 million appropriation that will allow for 16 new prime schools in the state of Michigan. So we're doubling the number of prime schools. And so we're reaching out, we've identified the schools, we're reaching out to manufacturers to have some input in how the curriculum is designed. Back to that point of there's no single bullet, there's a number of ways to approach this. And there's no shortage of possible solutions. But we're really excited to announce that we're bringing on a new director of workforce development to help drive this, to help connect manufacturers with possible solutions, connect manufacturers with ISDs, secondary schools, community college, private training institutions, where required universities. And we're so very excited to bring on a well-recognized name in the manufacturing industry. Bill Rail will become our Director of Workforce Development beginning in early April. For those of you who know Bill, he is the gold standard for manufacturing training. He has set his name at Jackson Area Manufacturers Association, another great partner of ours, for creating integrated and engaging STEM opportunities, starting at pre-K and going all the way through graduate level education. It's astounding what he does, and we're very excited to bring that to a statewide scale and hopefully even larger. So we've been working very hard to support our members and to fill their talent pipelines, and I think that this will accelerate it tremendously.
That's great, Delaney. Wow, that's exciting news. Welcome to Bill. We're looking forward to, seeing his work and being able to work with him.
I think people are going to be beating down his door the minute he's here.
I'm sure.
Some excited folks.
So Delaney, Jenny, Jill, Kelly, Sheila, Julie, thank you so very much. I'm going to give the floor to Sheila to kind of close things up and give some final remarks. But from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every one of you women. And this is just the beginning. We're not going to be one and done. We're going to continue this work together because, Michigan needs it, and we've got to fill those jobs with women, hopefully. Sheila.
Yes, great. Thank you, Anne, and thank you each of you for the amazing event today. It has been so motivating. It's a great way to start our day, and hearing from the great work that you're doing around all the different kinds of STEM opportunities that are out there. As I mentioned at the beginning, as Anne said, let's not make this one and done. Hear something today. Please take some action after this webinar today. Contact someone, mentor someone, find a way to collaborate together. I think we have a great organization in MMA that can help lead the charge for the state. And please keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing as a national movement, because we want to amplify that message across. There may be other manufacturing organizations. I just did an event here in Tennessee with manufacturing out at the Volkswagen plant 2 weeks ago with women who are plant managers of manufacturing facilities, and talked to them about the importance of women and the diversity of thought. And I think we're seeing that being elevated right now with our with what's going on nationally. And so we want to make sure that we can continue to highlight it. So if you want to get connected to Million Mentors, you can email us at states@millionmentors.com. You can also obviously contact Ann, and Ann, maybe you could put your email in the chat if you want to get involved specifically in Michigan. But definitely if you email me at states@millionmentors.com, we'll make sure Ann and Shelley get the contact. And again, we hope you have a fantastic Wednesday, hump day, but what a way to start it. Thanks again to the wonderful panelists, to Kylie, our person and a woman behind the scenes. I love when our events are women run, women speakers, women on the background. We're taking charge. So have a wonderful day, everybody, and thanks again.
Thank you, Sheila. My contact information is in the chat, so please don't hesitate to reach out. We've got a lot of work to do, and we need some help. So thank you. Thanks, gals. Everybody have a
Thanks,
great
everybody.
day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.